Boom! Good evening, good afternoon, good day to you, wherever you are and wherever you may be. My name is Samuel Davis III. I am the host of Uplift Our Community podcast, powered by Bridge Visions. Today is a special day, y'all. Today we're starting to go live. We're going to do things a little different, and we're just jumping right into the pool. We started out with about almost close to a year ago, and we said we're going to make videos once a week, and we have got to this point where we're close to that year mark, and we have got about at least 40 podcasts in our underneath our belt, and we are starting now with this live podcast today. Today, it's going to be a kind of a refresher on who we are and what we're all about. And just a couple of people who are here today, I want to bring everyone in and have them introduce themselves. And I'm starting with myself. My name, as I mentioned before, is Samuel Davis III, and I am a former Air Force veteran. I am a former federal law enforcement officer. I have traveled the world, and I am back home in my hometown of Oceanside, California, doing what I like to do. I like to uplift other people. I like to inspire. I like to move things. I'd like to say first and foremost, I'd like to thank those who are here, and I value each and every one of their opinions. I also plan on expanding this podcast by us jumping in this whole live thing, and it's going to be a little different. The energy right now is a little different for me, but I'm still cool with everything. One of the things that I want to talk about is we're going to talk about some of our things in our life that have made us who we are. One of the things I want to ask everyone as I do bring everyone in is, what one thing do you understand now about life that you didn't 10 years ago? And I'm going to start that question and ask that to myself. And asking that to myself, I say to myself, one thing that I do know that has become very important to me at this time in my life is time. Time is one thing that I feel and I've learned is very valuable. As I mentioned before, my wife and I, we are caregivers in our home. And it's been an interesting thing as I watch my in-laws, as they are both in their 90s, move about and operate. And both of them have memory care issues. And I recognize there are things that my in-laws say that they want to do or that they wish they had have done. And I forgot that I didn't do this because their memory's gone, but they also remember some of the good things. And those are the things that really hit me the most when I look at time, the time that I spend with my in-laws, the time that I sit back and I have conversations with other individuals, and the time that I waste with some people who just get around and just fill your head and and the area up with a bunch of mess. There's probably nothing I can't stand more anything than wasting time. I got things to do. I'm not claiming I'm the most important man in the world, but let me tell you something. When I say I'm going to do something, I show up to do it. And I don't really want a bunch of mess. I don't want a bunch of talk about what we want to do. Let's do it. That's something for me that I think has been important in my life. That's one thing that 10 years ago I say that was not something that I watched important that was important to me, but it is very important to me now, my time. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in my 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 partners here today, and I'm going to bring you all in one at a time. I'm going to start off with my boy here, Jerome Harris, and Jerome is out here in St. Louis. Jerome, I'll bring you in. Talk to me. I'm opening up your mic.
Going there,
There
sir.
you go.
Okay. Hello, how's it going today, everybody? Woo! Okay, we'll go with that. So, all right. Thanks to our technical difficulties, we found out that Samuel Davis III's hamster died. Therefore, the internet went down. So they practiced CPR, gave it all they got. And the hamster's got a few more days left in them. So we're all in. We're all in. Okay,
2 more
but
days.
I love what you said about 2 more days. Okay, we'll be optimistic. All right. For the record, I appreciate what you're saying about time because honestly, with some of the projects that we have going on with some of my organizations, time management is always pressed upon me of being better at. So I can co-sign on that one. But I had a theme as of late talking to a few people, and we talked about the concept of learning to love someone. Okay,
Ooh,
and we,
ooh,
that kind of, yeah, I know, right? So I always thought when I heard that saying, and probably I guess when I was teenager on up, and I've been on this planet for 53 years and counting. The deal is that I found that I totally misunderstood what that meant. Learning to love someone, my initial understanding was about basically working yourself down into, just dropping your standards and being able to just allow somebody in your life kind of thing. But nothing could be further from the truth. What I discovered was learning to love someone meant getting out of your own way, dealing with some of the preconceived notions that you may have, some of the misunderstandings and miseducations that one will go through in evolving in this world. So it became impressed upon me even further that you consider, a lot of times people consider themselves the prize. The true prize in a relationship is about understanding and being able to find a person that can reciprocate and be able to have that flow that allows happiness to go between one and the other. And again, going back to the learning to love someone, getting out of your way, we find oftentimes that we do block our blessings, and we have to be conscious of that. And it's very important for one to know that happiness is really not that hard not part of a goal to achieve. It's about maybe redefining what is your happiness. It's about understanding what really brings you contentment, what allows your gifts to flow, what allows your muse to contact you, and so you can go ahead and affect the world around you. So learning to love someone also extends to the point of learning to love yourself. Okay,
mm,
we may putting too much pressure on yourself, trying to shoot for perfection where it just simply is not obtainable. I consider perfection a goal, but rarely a state. Okay, so
mm.
we have to find we have to find grace, which is often a theme that I impress upon my friends and family. Give yourself grace. Allow yourself to make mistakes, but allow yourself to recover and allow yourself to learn.
Wow, boy, Jerome, come out here laying the
Ta-da!
law like that. Man, boy, listen. No, I appreciate that. Learning to love. Now, I have to ask, and I don't know if this is getting personal. Is it because of a breakout? Is it because of, excuse me, a breakup, a recent relationship change for you? I mean, learning to love you said in your what 50s, you said? Learning to love, that's coming kind of strong right now. So how is it that you that it did someone bring that to you, or what?
Well, it's not necessarily that a lesson that applied directly to my social life.
Okay.
It's about the evolution of growth. Okay, so the what I found, especially there's a lot of things going on in our world right now. People are losing their jobs. There's a lot of stress. There's food insecurity. Of course, dealing with my charity, All Hands on Deck St. Louis. We feed over 2,000 families a month and growing. Unfortunately, growing at an exceptional rate right now because people
Mm,
are noticing that the way that they replenish their supplies is not available to them. And a lot of times people misunderstand and think that, oh, it's about the guy that's in great health that can get a job and just want to be lazy. No, we're talking about children. We're talking about families that are living in food deserts. We're talking about the senior citizens who are living on fixed incomes,
mhm.
who've done their part to help make the American dream. And it's our turn to look back and help them and make sure that we help look out for our seniors in our communities. Okay.
Okay, all right, Jerome. Tell us what's the name of your charity again, or your business, or what is it? Your labor of love. What's the website we can get at?
All right. All right. So it's AHOD STL. Okay. So that's all hands on deck St. Louis .org. And we're based out of St. Louis, Missouri, but we have a national charter that we're allowed to work with different areas of the country. And we found ourselves actually putting together a skeleton crew to go to Jamaica. So we're just started the process now, and we're working on donations that we can help administer aid to some of the areas of Jamaica that are not easily accessible.
Wow. Okay, that's what's up, man. Go ahead. Go ahead, man. Cool. So next up, I'm gonna bring up my man William now. Will is someone who's been working my wife. Now, I'm not expecting Will you get up and just run and talk for 5 minutes. I know you're just not coming up here with us today, but Will, tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, and the question was, what's one thing that you understand now about life that you didn't 10 years ago? I'm bringing you in right now. Here we go. Adding you to the stage.
How y'all doing? How you doing? Thank you for having me. I mean, man, I'm Will. I'm an artist. I recently came home from a nice stint of incarceration. And so most of my lessons took place during that time. Uh, as far as what I do, like I said, I'm an artist. We make shirts. I sell artwork and designs, and I volunteer at, at a church in my old neighborhood, help hand out food once a month. And I'm kind of like a counsel to some of my homeboys, my younger homies, you know what I mean? I don't indulge in the street life anymore, but I feel obligated to be a source of counsel for some of the people that are still around. But as far as what I learned, like a lot of my lessons happened early in my incarceration, but one of the things that I could say within the last 10 years, because that's not that far back for me, would have to been forgiving myself. You know what I'm saying? Learning that I did deserve better stuff. I mean, I felt like I carried a lot of guilt, you know what I mean, from things I did. Like this last period of my incarceration was the first time I decided to take it serious about getting my life together. Like, I didn't like who, as they say, I didn't like who I had become. You know what I mean? And so it took a long time. Like, man, before I even got to that point, like I was doing good things, trying to help other people and be a better person. But it was late in the game that I realized that I hadn't forgiven myself for a lot of things. I think I held stuff from my mom. Like my mom passed while I was incarcerated. And I was in a group at the time in prison called Inside Circle. And we had went through a process during one of our groups, specifically for me and dealing with my mom. Because a lot of the dudes in the group, we hung out on the yard, so we knew a lot about each other. And I didn't know, but they secretly planned this process for me because they knew that I was dealing with some trauma. You know what I mean? And they helped bring that out, and it kind of woke me up to the fact that I had been carrying around a lot of guilt from the stuff I had done on my own or put my mom through. And so I think there was part of me that didn't feel like I deserved better. I don't want to say better, but I think it was always like a weight on me. You know what I mean? That just that not forgiving myself. I mean, that's really what it came down to. And once I go through that, and that's something that I still have to reflect on today, because not forgiving myself, it keeps me it puts me in a certain mind state. You know what I mean? And sometimes when I feel that rise, like being out now and having all these opportunities, not knowing what to do, now it's a trigger. You know what I mean? And I have to slow down and remember, man, don't worry about it. Just because you went through all of that, you can start over and you just got to make these choices. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what I would say for me.
Okay, well, man, listen. I want to say I appreciate you for even just saying that. 'Cause I didn't say nothing to nobody about where you came from or what what you done did,
Yeah,
but I will say this much. Being that I worked in prisons, man, there are a lot of life lessons you can learn in prison.
yeah,
Man,
definitely.
just working there alone. I mean, there are a lot of life lessons. Being independent, how you handle yourself, uh, keeping your word. There all kinds of things. What you said was very important. You were carrying that burden for a long time with you, and you didn't even realize it. Sometimes you carry that burden, and it's depending on how you carry it, you use that against other people. I get
Yeah,
mad because I'm carrying this anger around, and somebody say something to you. Trust me, I had plenty
yeah,
of times I'm just trying to be nice to a dude. Hey, what's up, man? Get the F out of my face, man.
yeah,
It's like, whoa, you know what? I'll back up. I'll keep it moving,
yeah,
because you don't know where a person's coming from or what they're carrying. So I really, really appreciate hearing that from you, man. That was
yeah.
something.
Absolutely. Thank
All right. Next up, I got my man Benji. Benji hailing out of Texas. I don't know what part of Texas. I can't recall the city, but we got my man Benji coming up in here, who's going to be training soon for his marathon. Talk to us,
you.
Benji.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Perfect, perfect. Yeah, I'm Benji. I'm in Dallas, Texas. I live between the city of Austin, Houston, so I got in three places. But I grew up in West Texas. So for me, the lesson for me, literally, I realized the greatest gift of my life are the detours of my life. So those are the things that allow me to grow and build resilient, right? The grit. That's the thing that I've learned. The failed marriages, the failed like business and things like that. But I realized those detours allow me to grow as a spirit, as a person. But the biggest thing too is like I have a different perspective. I get to see different things in life. I get to see different menus in life where that previously was just so narrow. These are things that I've learned. And those are the things that everybody mentions, like, learn to be lighter on yourself, you know, be self-caring and be self-loving and things like that. But those lessons allow us to grow and see different things and also like evolve, not just as a person, but also as a spirit. That's what I've learned.
I'm sorry, I'm messing with that microphone again. I'm sorry.
No,
Um, Listen, um, I think that what you said was very important. It's one of those things that we all got lessons. We all learn
yep.
different things, and how we carry those things. Going back with Will, how we carry those things that we learn are important. Benji, you've always brought up that we're all going to school. This is
Hmm.
life school that we're in, and we're all just in
Yep.
different classes,
Yep.
and every one of us are in different stages in our life, and that's exactly what I look at. We're in this life school, and we've all been through these different experiences, and you might be a year or two or a class or two ahead of me on one thing or in a different class in
Hmm.
itself. So they definitely do have a big influence on us. I want to kind of keep things going real quick because I want to ask each and every one of you. You can raise your hand up if you want to answer this. I want to ask, who inspires you to keep going when things get heavy? And I'm going to jump over with myself, and I'm going to start with me. Who inspires me when things get heavy? So, as I mentioned to you, being a caregiver, one thing that really makes me really happy, my mother-in-law. Sometimes her memory goes. She might come into the room and ask me something, leave, and come back a minute later and ask me the same thing again, maybe two or three different times, and we kind of laugh and joke about it. I, she makes me feel good. And I say this because I listened to what you were saying earlier, Will, about losing your mother. There was a point in time my family upbringing wasn't that good as well myself. I had a upbringing but I didn't realize until after I went through some therapy and some other issues where I had to actually sit down and talk about what's going on inside of me, where I started seeing things in a whole different light. It took a therapist and a lot of therapy to get certain things out of me, and I learned a lot of stuff. But one thing that really excites me is my mother-in-law, because before I got married to my wife, I sat back and I prayed and I said, God, if you can just give me someone. I know there's a mother out there. She got a fine daughter out there, and she wants a good man in her life. Man, if I could find a man, and I would, and I if you bring her, she's got to be someone that can love me, if not as much as the, but more than my own mother. I did not realize that I would pray this and it would actually happen, because now I have this woman living in my home with me. I got in-laws living in my home with me. Sometimes you ask for things, you pray for things, and you don't know how they're going to come. And man, you got to be ready to receive them. So I jokingly refer to occasionally we'll break out some champagne. My mother likes champagne, and I jokingly refer to it as apple juice. So, Grandma, Grandma, what you doing? You drinking the apple juice? You know, you drinking the apple juice? And she gets to laughing and giggling. And man, let me tell you something. There is not a thing that does not make me feel more inspired to keep on moving, as far as what I'm doing in my home, how we got construction going on. It's been going on year 2 with this construction right now, with this whole setting up plans and doing everything to we got their room expanded. You know, we put a Murphy bed in there, we did the floors, we got somebody just came today, he's going to actually do cabinets and mount them on the wall, and closets and things. That is one thing. My mother-in-law really inspires me. Now, my wife does too. Don't get me wrong, but my mother-in-law, deep down inside, that pulls on my heartstrings. You know, reminds me of a relationship with my mother, and when things were good, and that inspires me, because there is not a thing that's worse to me than your wife, the woman that you love, a mother that you care, to see someone crying and hurt. That's just one thing that there's just nothing you can do about that. There's nothing of the tears that an elder in your care will hurt more than that, to see someone cry. And when I see her happy, it just inspires me to want to do more, make me a better person, make me even though she might ask me 3 or 4 times the same question, we kind of laugh and joke. And I don't know if that's in the black family thing, but we laugh a lot. And we laugh about it. No, Mom, you just came in. This is the 3rd time you asked me about them Twinkies, Mom. Now I'm gonna get you some Twinkies now. You know, we can joke and laugh about these things. But that is probably one of the biggest things that inspires me when it gets heavy, because there's been some heavy things going on. We more recently, they were about to cut the program that they sent them to. I couldn't be talking to you right now on this podcast if this company wouldn't come and pick them up and take them out for a couple of hours, a week, so that we can get some free time to wash some clothes and take a break, man. But there is nothing more inspiring than that for me. Anybody else want to jump in on that? Go ahead, Benji.
I'll jump in. And then, I mean, like yourself, a lot of people hear this well too. Is like, my family upbringing was really tough as well too. It's nothing physical; it's just really emotional. So the people that took care of me are my friends, right? I mentioned this multiple times. My best friend Monica and her family, and also my very best friend that passed 2 years ago, Brian. They were my protector. They were my protector. They were like always been my soldier, and I always want to please them. And these are things that I grew up consistently trying to please them and also be better version of me for them. So what they allow me to do is grow, meaning that I make the mistake, they don't judge it, they allow it to grow and grow. And that has been the most gifted thing I've had in my life. Now, in recent time, as time has get older, those mistakes allow me to have my kids and my grandkids. These are the ones that inspire me now, right? Inspire me to live my dream life, which is what I was asked to do in the first place. Whatever God patterned me for, what my destiny is, I'm allowed to do that again, to relive that I was missing from all those years. So I I've been blessed with that part because they allow me to be the artist I'm supposed to be the writer I'm supposed to be. And these are things that, that was kind of society, mom and dad kind of talked me out of it. So I'm very grateful for that. Okay.
So let me ask you this now, Benji, before you run away. Now I'm asking, is there a who? I can sit back there and throw family out there, but
Sure.
is there an individual? Now I
Oh,
know Brian.
sure.
Now you could, I know you recently lost a good close friend when we were on course together.
Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't necessarily have to be someone who's alive. Heck, I mean, there are
Mm.
people get inspiration off of reading Malcolm X. And all of a sudden, man, all of a sudden
Yeah.
my life has changed.
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
that there is a individual that could be alive, it could be past. So
Yeah.
was Brian that person for
Oh
you,
yeah.
or
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Because he protected me. He was the protector of our group. Like he's like you. He's physically a big person. Monica and I are about the same size, right? So we are the one there, but those are the people that may be like in a sense always the one that kind of makes sure that I was on the right track. Right now my grandkids, Brooklyn specifically, as well as Zach, they're the one that's so young and inspiring. And then my adopted daughter, Brittany, I see the change in them because they've been with me since they were a teenager. And these are people that have their own physical family, but that got abandoned. And I was there for them. I didn't know why. And those are the detour that was magical for me. Those are the magic moments that I keep. Okay.
okay? All right, cool. Anybody else want to jump in there?
Well, go ahead.
Jay, oh, he's saying go ahead. You say go ahead, Will.
Oh, all right. For me, it wasn't just one person. I mean, of course, there's, of course, my mom. For my mom, it was really, I'm an only child, so it's just me and her rocking, you know, through it all. So when I got out of my selfishness and I was able to recognize what people was doing for me, of course, my mom. But for me, it was a lot of people. It was people that I didn't know, books I read about the struggle. Like when you go to prison, kind of like back in the days, one of the first things that you would have to do was read. You couldn't just be a dummy, really, contrary to popular belief. People would, as far as blacks, even the Mexicans, it's kind of like a cultural thing where you reading up on your history and your culture. And some of that like inspired me, and like seeing my family and even people in prison. Like I had multiple life sentences. So it's like a being suspended in time. You really don't know how to deal with this. Like at what, 24, you know what I mean? So there was people in the environment that I saw that were older dudes. Like, man, I remember when I was probably 26 being on the yard, and there was dudes that were in their 50s and 40s, but they was in shape, and the minds was it was militant, but it was about self-reliance and being strong and understanding that you're in a war. You know what I'm saying? For yourself, your identity. You know what I mean? So that uh that kind of helped me understand like these situations. Being in prison is probably one of the most restricted situations you could be in. You know what I mean? It's really the end of the line. So to try to figure out how to be strong in that type of situation, you know what I mean? Or it either makes you or it breaks you, really. You know what I'm saying? So I learned that from a lot of the guys that I came up in during my incarceration. And then having a daughter, I left my daughter when she was 3. Hell, she's like 34 now, 34.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? So, but watching her, and we weren't in contact for a large part of my incarceration. But when we did get back in contact, she was already 19 or 20. And as we never lost contact after that, but I saw how she progressed in her life. She broke the cycle of what, like, even her people on her mom's side were all gang members, incarcerated, going in and out. And so she broke that cycle. You know what I mean? To where when she finally did have a kid, you know, she was in a good place, and she was intentional about not being like me and her mother, you know, and some of the other people in the family. So she inspired me. You know, my grandson inspires me because he's really intelligent for an 8-year-old kid. And then the idea of letting them down, like disappointing, like making stupid choices and then having to face that. I couldn't, you know what I'm saying? I couldn't do that. So, and then I don't know anything else but to keep going, regardless of what the obstacle or the challenge is. I don't really know how to say, oh, I can't do it, you know?
Okay, I hear that. I hear that, man. Good one. Go ahead, Jerome. You're up. Unmute your mic. That me? Go ahead.
Okay, can you hear me? You good?
Yep.
All right. Well, Bill has been a constant companion, so he allows me to just keep pushing. He never lets me forget that he's there. You know,
Who's
so
that?
that's the one that keeps me going. Bill,
Bill.
electric bill, light bill, gas bill. He never lets me quit. He never lets me quit. So, you know, but all jokes aside, I love working with the people in my community, and I especially have good relationships with the singers in the community. And it's always one of the two older ladies that pull me aside and give me a hug and just let me know how much they appreciate what we do as a team. And it just like, no matter what kind of, you know, breakups, financial issues, staffing issues, stress, what have you, their appreciation keeps me fighting and keeps me moving forward. And I'm forever grateful to them. You know, my mom and family, that's a given. They're very supportive. I love them. You know, but I have these people that I know need something in this capacity, and I'm able to help. It keeps me motivated.
Hmm. Okay. That's what's up. You got something to say, Benji? Go ahead.
Yeah. So this is going to add on to what William was saying. This is something I actually was talking to my daughter Brittany about this weekend. You know, so I'm the only child too, so that's part of it. But one thing that got me away from West Texas and all these things that I was able to do what I do is I love reading, and so does she. All my kids love reading. So that right there, I think it's important. Like a lot of my people and our people do not gravitate to that because that right there allow us to find our way and also find a way in this life. You know, so you know, and Sam knows this. I went through all those seminar and things like that, but I always gravitate to that. So that helped me. This is the second or third time that somebody mentioned to me about reading. But what that means, that inspired me to tell you, William, we definitely want to work on our people, get them read more, especially the men. Okay, that's really come down to it. Thank you for that reminder.
There you go. There you go. That's it's always a big thing, you know. And going back with what Will, when you were speaking to Will, let me tell you something. As a correctional officer, man, let me tell you, I saw some dudes that I had major respect for. And there were some busters too, but there are some guys up there that I was like, man, this dude out in the street, his mind is so focused and just, I mean, the things that he could have did if he hadn't gotten into that type of criminal activity. Oh my goodness. I mean, well, like I said, I work with the feds. So most of the time we dealt with the people from the top. We dealt with the gang leaders. We dealt with the excuse me, the CEOs. We dealt with the, you know, the heads of organizations. And sometimes you sit back and you have conversations with these guys, because I did. I walked their rooms and I talked to them, and you'd have conversations, and I'd be like, my gosh, this man is powerful. This young woman is strong. it's male and female both. You have to give them respect for what they do. But I also got my job too, and I got to understand that, sometimes it was cops and robbers, but still the main thing that I always connected on was we're both human. And as long as we're human, we got something in common, because lots of times they would always, hey man, I don't want to hear you, get out of my face, man. Don't talk to me. Okay, cool. And I move around. But then later on, they'll come off to the sides, hey man, thanks for talking to me, or trying to talk to you, man. I know my head was messed up. And they'll tell you. And I have always appreciated that, because sometimes when and I've said this plenty of times, you have to be locked up sometimes for some people to finally learn to stop moving and run the streets. You got to be locked up and got to be put in that cell. And when you don't have access to drugs or those things that keep you away from focusing on who you are to be a better person. And when some people get that, it's a shame that they have to get multiple life sentences or things like that to get that type of a perspective. It really is something. But when you see them grow, when you see a person grow and you see a person learning or who has learned, and man, it's amazing. There are some really powerful, strong people that they'll pass on books. Hey, Davis, you ever read this book? And you sit back and you look, man, what book you got? And then I look at his books, see what he's reading. You learn so much, man. And I'm not trying to turn this into a prison scared straight episode, but that was a very influential time for me in my life. And with that being said, I want to ask, because everybody here has a story. We all got a story. So I want to ask, at what point in time, your story, your what's the word he say in church? My testimony. At what point did you realize that your testimony, your story had power? And I say that because there was a point when I got out of prison. There was certain times, at least in my neighborhood where I'm at, sometimes I run into guys that, I put handcuffs on. I see them on the street sometimes, and it's nothing negative, but I realized that sometimes that when I was able to connect with a person who just got out of prison, and I was able to talk to him, hey man, you keep your head up straight, man, whatever. You could talk to a person. And there was a guy one time we were talking, he said he was going to go visit his brother in Indiana. And he said, yeah, I'm going to be there for about 2 hours. I said, man, you going all the way to Indiana to see him for 2 hours? I knew that he was locked up. I knew that, because that was a 2-hour visit. There's no way in the world someone's going to travel all the way out of state to go have a 2-hour visit with someone. So when I brought that up to him, he looked at me and he was like, what do you mean? How'd you know that he was in prison? And I told him, I said, well, I used to work for the prison system. And we had a conversation. And as we were going through our conversation, he just kind of broke down and said, I never told nobody that because I was embarrassed and blah, blah, blah. And as we were having our conversation, it was then that the very first time as we were having our conversation, I actually had an anxiety attack. I started, heart started palpitating. I was like, man, because I had never really talked to nobody about what I did in the prisons, and how it affected me. And that was something that started me on a journey of therapy for my own self. I didn't realize that. So I say this again, and I want to ask you, what point did you realize that your story, that your personal story was what it had power? Go ahead, Will, jump on in there. I'm gonna pull it in right there. I'm unmuting you.
Yeah, I think for me it was realizing, like, for a long time I thought my experience was unique. You know what I mean? I thought a lot of the things that I went through, like, I mean, I knew they happened to other people, but I didn't think it was as normal as I eventually found out. And that the only thing was, and it coupled that with the lessons that I learned about myself during my process, recognizing that some of my folks that came through the same struggle as me may not have been able to articulate or understand the things they went through in the way that I came to, and then speaking to them and finding out that boom, there was a connection there, and that's what was missing was somebody that basically understands or relates to what other people are going through, because a lot of people is going through stuff and they just keeping it to themselves. So your testimony becomes powerful when you no longer ashamed of what you went through and you're willing to share to help other people, or just to speak your piece about what you went through or whatever it is, and somebody else out there that you have no idea about might find value in that. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it is for me.
Okay. All right. All right. Benji, Jerome, you got something to say on that? Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah. So I think for me, I realized like I'm a business person. I do business. I've been doing IT for 40 plus some years. So I've been through the road. But the funny thing is, I realized what a lot of companies hired me for is not so much the techie part, is my ability to shift people and make them change. A lot of people get stuck and they don't have no courage to change. I change a lot. I focus on moving everybody forward because for business they have to grow just like a person. And because of that, I noticed that. And what they ask me is like a lot of this is always like this: how did you get from here to here? You got no college degree. You didn't go to school. You got no credentials. And I always talk about like the mindset of what you want to do. And that's because I absorb all that through life experience as well as just reading and things like that. But the thing is, how do you take the first step? And then the biggest thing they always ask like, how do you fail and don't get disappointed? And those are the biggest thing.
Mm,
And so that's when I know my story. I give them example of what happens and those detours and how I found my way out of it.
mm. Okay. Okay. I hear that. I hear that. Jerome, you got something to say? Are you on that phone or you're making them business calls?
Well, I know I was trying to be sly about it, but we're if you're not, well, to let the rest of the world know, we are currently coordinating with some relief for Jamaica. So I'm looking over and checking on some of these calls here, and some of the logistics as well. We are working still with tornado relief here in St. Louis with some of the people that are in need. So it I wish I could say it was just a 9 to 5, but it's like a 24/7. So
Yeah.
I know, and I'm honored to be here. But again, people need that. But I love the question, and to that point, I that there's times where I realized I may feel like Sisyphus pushing the boulder up the hill, and it just gets a little tiring, gets a little stressful, and you have days where I'm like, you know what, I'm just done. I just need a break, or just maybe quit or what have you, and it's the people that are around you. You're just like you just don't realize how much you're affecting everybody, people's lives, and when I do step back, people tell you how much they miss your presence at certain events, or they are something, or they love to hear the laugh. Those little things give them faith, give them hope, and help take their mind off of their troubles. I'm very thankful that the universe has used me that way, that where I can just bring some comfort to my fellow human beings, and I'm very thankful for that aspect.
Mm. Jerome, I always have said, with you, you kind of came on strong for me a lot more recently when we were having a conversation, and I think we were playing video games one day,
Uh-huh.
and you said I think you got a phone call in, and I heard you talking on that phone call. And I realized I could hear it through the headset, the conversation that you were having. And I was
Okay.
like, man, I totally forgot that, Jerome, you were doing it, because I was calling up, man, let's go play this game, man. I was ready to talk and laugh and chop it up a little bit,
Uh-huh.
and I never realized how connected you were to your community. And I mean, Jerome, Kelly and I, we work on nonprofits, and there was a nonprofit that we're here, lived experiences here by with Oscar and Ortega out here in Oceanside. We went out to go feed folks, man, out in the streets, out behind the high school where I went to high school, Oceanside High School out here. That area was known as the killing fields back when I was young. And
Oh wow.
man, when we went out there passing out food and things to people are coming out the woodworks, man, and just appreciative just to have some food. And the way that things are going right now with the cuts that they got going on in this country, man, Jerome, you are a very important person. I know, I think at one point, didn't they even talk about putting a National Guard out there to help you, protect you guys out there or something like that?
Well, this is what I understood. I mean, we are, we when you deal with community and people that have FOMO, fear of missing out, or they felt they've been done so wrong by the system for so many years, you have a layer of distrust. So if you never know what to be that one straw that'll break somebody, so you have to be very kind, you have to be very caring, you have to be very empathetic. And we feel that, like, as far as our volunteers are concerned, we really have a great rapport with the people that frequent our shares. So we're very fortunate that way. But we do get especially now, we're getting new faces, and there is a certain amount of tension, so we're just we have to put our best foot forward. But I don't think I don't see this. I definitely don't see it in our case, in our community, where military presence can make people feel more relaxed. I understand that may be the case in California. I believe that was the last I heard. It was, whatever reason that they're fabricating to have them there, or what have you. But
Call them liars.
that whatever that case may be, it is. But for as what we're doing here in St. Louis, we're trying our best to deal with our neighbors, because we are them and they are us, so we're trying our best to deal with that, on the most positive and respectful of levels.
Okay. All right. I hear that. Well, with that being said, we just had a couple questions today, and we just want to get this thing started and get it going live today. I think that one thing I want to say before we close, in closing, that I think that, and I believe each and every one of us know that there is a purpose that we all have here. And if you're not here to give that something back to your community, to people, you might want to rethink things. We are here to help each other out. And that's the whole purpose of Uplift Our Community podcast. We're here to give different perspectives, to have people come in and say, hey, you know what? I heard this one guy say this, man. And you know what? I understand what he said. I was there once. And sometimes you never know how much your story can change that tide of war for someone else who might just be all in their head and not thinking of and impulsively thinking. As I mentioned to you before, there are some people, they got to go to jail. They got to get to prison before they get that perspective of, I'm here to help. That ultimately I am here to help someone else. Each one teach one. That's always been a lesson for me. So with that being said, I just wanted to pass that word on to each of you guys as we leave this evening, and make sure you go out there and do something to your community and go out there and touch somebody in a positive way. Okay, with that being said, we'll see y'all on the next one.